evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. First, our major stories. A landmark trial concerning press freedom took place today at the Yaoundé Military Court. The trial of the 17 accused in the Martinez Zogo capital murder affair opened today after more than a year of investigations that lasted 4 hours. The affair has been adjourned to April 15. And away from that, about 400 houses have been reduced to ashes in Meri subdivision, Damari division, far north region of Cameroon. The cause of the inferno remains unclear. And out of Cameroon, we'll be telling you about what happened in Senegal as far as elections are concerned, where we are talking about the wind of change in Senegal as Amadou Ba, the candidate of the ruling party, while waiting for the proclamation of official results of the Sunday presidential result of Senegal, congratulates Senegal, that is, congratulate Bassirou Diomaye Faye of PASTEF for his victory. Those are major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television. You made the right choice. The trial of 17 co-accused in the Martinez Zogo murder affair has been adjourned to April 15. After more than a year of investigations, the trial started today at the Yaoundé Military Court. Babila Jonathan reports.
The first hearing of the Martinez Zogo capital murder affair lasted for over 4 hours. 17 co-accused are standing trial. 3 civil parties showed up at the Yaoundé Military Court: the wife and children of the murdered journalist, a second wife and children whose claims were rejected due to irregularities in the marriage certificate bearing the journalistic name Martinez Zogo instead of the victim's real name, Arsène Solomon Bani Zogo, and the state represented by the Directorate General of External Research. It took hours to verify the legal representatives of the different parties and for the court to address the plaintiff's request for a live broadcast of the hearings. The case has been adjourned to April 15, 2024. Businessman Amugu Belinga and former Cameroon Secret Service Chief Maxime Leopold Eko are tried for kidnapping and murder of Martinez Zogo. The other accused, including Colonel Justin Danwe and journalist Bruno Bijang, are charged for complicity in the torture and murder of the journalist.
Babila Jonathan reporting there. On to something else. The Archbishop of the Douala Diocese says there is no need to have a special day in parishes for Christians to register their names on the voters list. His Grace Samuel Kleda was speaking to Equinoxe TV in reaction to the call made by Father Ludovic Lado, who called on all bishops and priests to decree a day and invite Elecam officials to register Christians on the voters list. Smarjikan Gabriel reports.
As Cameroonians prepare for upcoming elections in the country to decide the political landscape, registration on the voters list still remains a challenge for agents of Elecam. Father Ludovic Lado, who is well noted for his outspoken nature, sends this message to bishops and priests within Cameroon.
I would like to humbly suggest to the bishops and priests to decree in their different dioceses a Sunday of registration on the voters list and invite for this purpose Elecam agents in their parishes to encourage the Christians to register in order to prepare them to exercise their voters' rights.
According to Father Ludovic Lado, even when Jesus Christ was on earth, he wasn't a scattered man, but someone with faith and who was engaged in the social life of his era. At the time when Father Ludovic Lado was calling for a special day for Christians registration, the Archbishop of Douala Diocese says,
we don't have to decree a day for Christians to register their names on the voters list. The Church must not do what the state wants.
For the Bishop, Christians are supposed to respect their civic duties as citizens of a nation.
I'm telling all the Christians to perform their civic duties. Doing that is for the law to be respected. The faithfuls are supposed to do everything to build their country.
Come August 31, 2024, Elections Cameroon, Elecam, will close the voters list as they prepare for upcoming elections in the country.
And now we take you to the far north region of Cameroon, precisely in Maguila, where at least 40 houses have been ravaged by an uncontrolled fire. The victims say the cause of the fire, which began last week, is still unknown. However, the senior divisional officer for the Diamare division was at the incident scene to evaluate the damage incurred. A.C. Lucy Lengu files in details.
Les enfants pleurent avec le froid. Nous sommes dépassés.
A fire outbreak in Mangila, a village in the Diamare division, consumes about 40 houses, leaving the victims stranded. It happened so fast, we were forced to run away with our kids because we don't know when it will occur, in the afternoon, in the evening.
Comment les enfants peuvent partir à l'école?
The inferno, according to the victims, began last week, ravaging a house, shockingly extended to nearby houses, destroying properties and other valuable documents. The next day, on Thursday, it began here, ravaging the entire house. I have lost all my properties. Everything damaged here belongs to me. Informed about the incident, the senior divisional officer of Diamare, Jean-Marc Ekwabaga, visited the scene to evaluate the damage and cause of the mysterious fire. We are here to comfort the victims, evaluate the damage, and see how we can help them out of this. We will also inform the hierarchy. Qualified by the locals as a mysterious fire outbreak, the origin is still unknown. We are baffled because the fire seems not to be ordinary. We suspect it has something to do with tradition. Meantime, consultations with village elders are ongoing to put an end to the fire, which by the day is causing sleepless nights to the inhabitants of Mangila.
And now over straight away here in the city of Douala, where maintenance works are being carried out around Rond-Point Mile 2 and also in Banya stretch of road in the Douala 5 subdivision. After about 3 times in less than 12 months, road users fume at this, saying this is punishment meted on them as circulation is constantly perturbed with repeated poor works carried out by contractors hired by the Douala City Council officials. Innocent Azet tells us more about the challenges people face, especially today and yesterday, while crossing the stretch of road. His report.
It is at least the 3rd time in less than 12 months that maintenance works are carried out on the Rond-Point Mile 2, Pong Banya stretch of roads in Bonamousadi, Douala 5 subdivision. About 5 months ago, I told you the maintenance works will not last. Here we are today, confirming that. Engineers have worked on this stretch of roads countless times, yet no concrete result. After months, the road degrades again. They were here just 4 months ago. They are here again. This implies the contractors are doing a bad job. Other road users think otherwise.
It's because of the rain, that is why the road gets bad again. They don't put in enough materials for the work to stay for a longer period of time.
On voit l'état final des travaux. They didn't take into consideration the weight of heavy-duty vehicles plying this road when they were doing maintenance works. Maintenance works, which started few days ago to last 1 month, have caused dense traffic, a situation already unbearable at the initial stage.
I feel very hot, and that is because of the traffic and with the weather condition. This thing was not supposed to be done during the week when people are going to work. It was supposed to be done over the weekend.
Vraiment, on a chaud, on est dans un état d'esprit, c'est pas évident.
With the ongoing placement of pavements, these road users expect it will be long-lasting and solve once and for all the constant road degradation and traffic jam on this Rond-Point Mile 2 Pongbanya stretch of road.
Et vraiment, on serait heureux de pouvoir savoir que c'est bien fait cette fois-ci pour tout.
Espérons que les pavés, au moins, ils vont bien placer les pavés pour que cela y résiste pour un bout de temps.
On souhaiterait qu'on mette les pavés bien alignés.
On aurait plus ce problème sur cet endroit-là 5e.
Every effort to find out from the contractors or engineers why their multiple maintenance works did not last long. No one accepted to talk, claiming it will tarnish the image of the company.
And now to our national frontiers. 44-year-old Bassirou Diomaye Faye is living in the just-ended presidential elections in Senegal. Some major opposition candidates who contested Faye's lead have been sending in congratulatory messages. And Abila now gives us details on the trends of election results in Senegal.
According to the latest trends of the election results in Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Diarra Faye of the Pastef party is on the lead, winning a majority of the vote. Some opposition coalition leaders who at first contested the victory of Bassirou Faye are already sending in congratulatory messages. This is the case with Amadou Ba, a coalition candidate whom, after seriously contesting, finally or later on accepted the victory of the Pastef party candidate. He said in his words, I quote, "Following the trends of the presidential election and while waiting for the official proclamation of the results, I congratulate Bassirou Diomaye Diarra Faye on his victory after the first round." Going further, he asked the heavens to give Faye as he takes over as head of state. The above information has been confirmed by the government spokesperson Abdou Karim Fofana. Besides Amadou Ba, 5 other candidates had earlier congratulated 44-year-old Mr. Faye on his election as the 5th Senegalese president. It should be noted, Mr. Ousmane Sonko backed Mr. Faye, the co-creator of his now dissolved Pastef party, who was also detained almost a year ago on charges including defamation and contempt of court. Senegalese had taken to the streets to jubilate over the country's democracy, which they say is worth emulating. Macky Sall, the incumbent, was not on the ballot for the first time in Senegal's history. He had attempted to postpone the election but was stopped by the Constitutional Council. The official result of Senegal's presidential election is expected to be proclaimed on Tuesday, March 26.
On the same vein, Bassirou Diomaye Faye is not a novice in politics, though his political career rotates more around the Pastef party of Ousmane Sonko. Bassirou Diomaye was present at the foundation of Pastef in the University of Dakar while moving up to the ranks of the Secretary General of the party. He holds a master's degree in law and a father of 3. Faye is also a polygamist and husband to Kone Faye and Absa Faye. Fami Armstrong Sanda tells us more on who really is this man.
Bassirou Diomaye Faye was born in 1980 in Diaganao in the fierce region of Senegal. Holder of a master's degree in law, Bassirou Diomaye Faye is a graduate of the Senegalese National School of Administration. In 2007, he joined the General Directorate of Taxes and Domain, where he met Ousmane Sonko, who attended the same gym as him. Bassirou then became part of the corps of 7 tax inspectors formed around the opposition leader Ousmane Sonko. Faye and Sonko's relationship grew closer in 2014. Bassirou Diomaye Faye was present at the end of 2014 when the Party of African Patriots of Senegal for Works, Ethics and Fraternity, PASTEF, was created in a small room at the University of Dakar. Initially a guest when the party was founded, Faye swiftly ascended to become one of the most prominent figures within the party. In 2019, for example, Faye was one of the ideologues and designers of Sonko's program for his presidential candidacy in 2019. Responsible for PASTEF's executives and the diaspora, he was the architect of the network abroad, particularly in Europe. In February 2021, Faye became the General Secretary of the PASTEF after Sonko was arrested. Faye attempted to unite the opposition for the 2022 election, winning 56 seats under the alliance Liberate the People. Arrested in April 14, 2023, he, Bassirou, was imprisoned at the Cape Manuel prison in Dakar, Senegal. But unlike Ousmane Sonko, Bassirou Diomaye Faye was not tried, much less convicted. He then therefore legally became a candidate and their flag bearer after Ousmane Sonko was barred. Bassirou Diomaye Faye is married and a father of 3. He is a polygamist and husband to Marie Kone Faye, his first wife, mother of 3 kids, and Absa Faye, his second wife.
And we stay out of Cameroon as the Nigerian army has announced the release of 137 pupils who were kidnapped by gunmen in mass abduction earlier this month. And in Chad, the Constitutional Council published the names of the 10 candidates eligible for presidential elections. A runner of these stories with our reporter, Cedric Chakutu.
Nigerian pupils taken by gunmen in a mass abduction in the northwestern town of Kuriga earlier this month have been freed. Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani said they had been rescued thanks to the courage of the security forces. School authorities had said more than 280 children were taken, but the army said 137 hostages had been freed. On the growing pressure to end the mass kidnappings in northern Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu promised his administration is deploying detailed strategies to ensure that schools remain safe sanctuaries of learning, not layers for wanton abductions. Elsewhere, electoral authorities in Chad have cleared 10 candidates for this year's long-awaited presidential election. They include nominations of interim President Mahamat Idris Deby and the country's recently appointed Prime Minister Success Masra. The Central African Nations Constitutional Council rejected the candidacy of the outspoken opposition figures Nassou Ibrahim Negai Kursami and Rakis Ahmad Saleh due to some irregularities. Note, it is the first time in Chad's history that a president and a prime minister will face each other in a presidential poll whose first round of voting will take place on the 6th of May and with a provisional second round scheduled to take place on the 2nd of June 2024.
Cedric Chakutio, and in this first part of the news, Talking Point is up next. Our guest tonight on Talking Point is a Nigerian policy and African affairs analyst, Barrister Liberus Oshomar, and he's based in Lagos, Nigeria. Hello, Barrister. It is a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight. Mass abductions are now very common in Nigeria. Earlier this month, some pupils were abducted in northwestern Nigeria, precisely in Kuriga. What's your reaction to the discrepancy between the figures of the school and the military? The school said 280 pupils were kidnapped, and now the military is saying 137 people were kidnapped and they have all been liberated.
Since the advent of Boko Haram here, a lot of politics has gone into insecurity in Nigeria. Insecurity is now business for some persons. They play politics with the lives of people. And so you will find out that, if you remember, this is not the first time. Remember the Chibok kidnap, abduction. You also remember the Kankawa in Zamfara State, and all of that. So the figures, there's always been discrepancies. I really don't know what government is trying to hide, and I would have expected that the school should be in a better position to know the number of people that were taken from the school. And if we will look at the pictures from the school, and these are places where governors are spending millions of naira or dollars, as the case may be, for Ramadan, and yet you can't even put the school in proper places. Security is not provided. But the key issue here is these are people whose education were neglected those days, and now they are taken to banditry. And I wonder how, if we still cannot secure school and encourage people to go to school, I wonder what these ones will turn out to be tomorrow. Those are the big challenges. But I think that the issue of figures should have been, the school should be in a better place to tell us the number of people that were taken from their school. So if the military has not recovered, or if the military has not been able to, let me put it this way, rescue the accurate number, then the military should say so, instead of us having the discrepancies in the figures.
Barrister Liberos, from your analysis, it is very clear that Nigerians are not safe as a result of the activities being carried out by the Boko Haram terrorist group. Now, how do you think the recent wave of kidnappings can be handled by the Bola Tinubu's-led government? Is it just the military, or there are other aspects to take into consideration as far as guaranteeing the security of the population?
No, really, this is beyond just the military. It is beyond the government. I think what we have is just a systemic failure, where people, rather than, localize the fight against security, you still want to make it a national thing. What we have been doing since, we've been using the same method to fight insecurity. And so consistently it festers. We started, it was gradual, and today it is like, a monster that nobody's ready to confront, and we hide away from it. You cannot police Nigeria. Nigeria is a country with estimation of 200 million people. And you can't police Nigeria by just having one Nigerian police force or one calling the military to come intervene. In countries with the kind of population that Nigeria has, the kind of policing should be localized. Every state, every local government should have police. Insecurity is local, so also is the fight against security should be. Self-preservation is key. You don't bring a man, for example, from Borno to come police a place like Zamfara. Where does he know? You will need to use the locals in those places, empower them to fight insecurity. But a situation where you bring people from outside, how much of the areas, how much of the interior, they'll take time to understand, this area. That's the system, that's the method we have been using consistently. And coupled with the fact that corruption, people now see security as a means to enrich themselves. So are we going after the financiers? No. We keep chasing the ragtag boys. And then the main financiers who are buying the weapons, who are empowering these people are there. Even despite the amnesty program to rehabilitate these boys, that also had not really, even though there are gains, but it has not really helped, because you rehabilitate a set today, before you know it, another set goes in. Every day you hear that the military had raided one camp, raided another camp, and the camps still keep growing. So that means we are not doing something well. And that thing that we are not doing is that we are not localizing the fight against it.
I guess you are closely following up how events are unfolding in Senegal. What's your analysis of yesterday's voting process in Senegal, especially with the first set of tallies that gave victory to Pastef party candidate?
One was expecting. I had expected that election in Senegal will not hold. But first and foremost, let's give kudos to the Senegalese people. Let's give kudos to the court in Senegal that has also ruled that the postponement or the setting up of a transition committee, or what you would call an ad hoc government, was unconstitutional. And so I think that was what also gave the embers or the fan the yearnings for an election to hold, whether they like it or not, by hook or by crook. And from the feelers that we get, what it shows that truly Africa as a whole is not ready for democracy. A situation where Salim Maké came on board, fantastic. The people loved him. He said he was going to regrow the economy. And then there was, the youth, young people voted for him. But he came and he was intolerant of opposition. And then the major opposition leader, what's his name, Sako, Alassane, incarcerated him. Even the what do you call it now, Faye, who is in the lead now, also was incarcerated, sometimes last year. And so I think that's what is giving, them that popularity. And that's why the ruling party, is completely losing it. But we'll wait to see how the election will go.
Now, Barrister, before the proclamation of results, civil opposition leaders, about 7 of them, have already congratulated the victory of Bassirou Diomaye Faye. With such declarations, can we confirm that elections were transparent and fair?
Yes, I think the people, with the kind of jubilation you are seeing, I can say to a very large extent, the elections in Senegal, that election of yesterday in Senegal were transparent. Even though the other candidates, had expected to pull an upset, but with their endorsement of 5 years so far, it shows that really the expected outcome, that was what the outcome, was, or that's what the outcome they were expecting from the process. And then also, what do you call it, the major ruling party, major ruling coalition candidate, Amadou Ba, also believe that it is not yet over because you need 50% at least to secure victories.
Now, Amadou Ba, the candidate of the ruling party, while waiting for a proclamation of results, congratulates Bassirou Diomaye Faye for his victory. This is something strange in Africa. Can this not serve as an example to other African countries?
Yes, just like it happened in Nigeria in 2015, we also saw Faye of the opposition being declared winner in this Senegal election. The conduct has been very peaceful. The people had come out and organized themselves, and they were very expectant. And also now that Ba of the ruling coalition has congratulated the winner of the election, which is Faye, it means that they can only forge ahead and hope that they will build on whatever legacy that Salim Ake is leaving behind. It's a victory for the people of Senegal. It's a victory for the opposition. It is victory for everybody. But the only thing I would advise is just the same way 2012 Mackay, was accepted by the people. The same way Faye, just barely a week or so out of prison, is declared the winner of an election today. When he gets into the saddle, he should also, remember how to conduct himself, and also allow opposition first start, to allow robust opposition and allow, constructive criticism. That's the only way they can grow democracy in Senegal. And I'll say kudos to all the parties, kudos to the candidates, and kudos to the government. Thank you.
But now, Senegal is standing out despite the turbulence witnessed in some West African countries which have been marred by coup d'etats. What lessons can we draw, especially for countries like Cameroon, who are said to be in situations of dictatorship?
When the coup happened in countries around Senegal, in Mali, in Burkina Faso, and all of that. So the expectation naturally was that Senegal was next. And when the president, Salim Ake, also attempted to rewrite the constitution by postponing the election, there were palpable fears. There were fears that, it might just be cutting coup. So, but the fact that, at the end of the day, he decided to conduct the election, the fact that the Constitutional Court stood its ground to say, no, this process is illegal and it cannot stand. And the muzzling of opposition, despite the muzzling of opposition, the people still insisted that election were going to go on. So all of these are pointed to the fact, like I said, that once the people are determined that democracy will thrive. Mind you, Senegal is a country that is known for its incessant coup. But for the first time, we see that, they are able to transit. And once they are able to see this process through, it means that there is hope for other countries. It means that there's even hope for Cameroon also, if the people are determined. And look at Nigeria. People also, despite the challenges in the election process in Nigeria, people were of the view that a coup might just happen. But unfortunately, the take-off process was, they wobbled and fumbled, but the take-off process is, gradually smoothing up now, and they're smoothing their edges. And so also, I believe that Cameroon also can get through it. The lesson that every African country should learn is that if you embrace democracy, you should practice democracy in its true and form. This attempt at sitting tight or, believing that Africans should not embrace democracy, or this attempt at always wanting to create a monarchy out of a democratic system where you sit tight till you die, like we saw in Zimbabwe. People are, with the advent of, new media and then the information superhighway, people are beginning to resist this sit-tight attitude. So these are the takeaway points for other countries that, you raise your voice and the government, no matter how strong will listen. And so look at people who have been incarcerated. Also, people naturally gravitate towards them once they preach good gospels and, yearn for good government. So these are the takeaway. So if you're in government, you muzzle opposition. What you're just basically making them do, you're making them popular. So government in power should stop muzzling opposition and trying to stifle opposition. Let there be coexistence between government in power and opposition. Let there be robust opposition and constructive criticism. These are the takeaway for me in Africa and Senegal.
Barrister Liboros Oshoma speaking to us live from Lagos, Nigeria. And that's what put an end to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. Stay in the company of more interesting programs on Equinoxe Television. So long.